Good morning, guys. YouTube, please like, subscribe, and share. All right. My wonderful wife has intervened once again. All right. And listen, she seldom gets in my business or tells me what's what, but, well, I kind of asked her opinion on this one, actually. We are having a discussion. And these videos I've been creating about the fact that Dee Dee and Gypsy were indeed had their hand in child trafficking. Okay. Period. Like I said, it was a soft role. All they were doing is glorified babysitters who were getting paid a whole lot so they can move them around, right? All right. And I said to her, I said, how is it in the comments when I just do this video? How is it in the comments they're saying, well, we want proof of this. We need receipts of this. What you're saying, we believe you. But we still would be. And I'm like, but that was what the video was. Even though I try to use some humor a little bit and a narrative form and I yell and do all these things and say cuss words and all this shit, I'm just trying to hook people and stuff, okay? That's just part of the shtick, okay? But if you're paying attention, I'm laying out the evidence of why I'm saying this, all right? So I said to her, I said, why are these comments in the actual video where I'm laying it out? They're saying, well, and she said, listen. And again, she doesn't ever get in my business, but I even asked her. She said, most of the people watching your videos aren't attorneys or police or detectives or judges or any of that shit. She says, they're not listening to your narrative where you're telling a story. Although the whole story is filled with facts and you're laying it out in your own way. She's like, I get the creative part thing with it. She says, but it's just a normal person that doesn't think that way. That doesn't think of like, oh, well, that. She said, you need a different approach. And she told me, she said, lay it out to them like you would have laid it out if you were prosecuting them. Okay. I said, so I thought about that. And I made a little list. And this is what would happen. Let's just say fresh after the crime. I mean, fresh in it. We busted up Dee Dee and Gypsy right doing this. Okay. In some kind of way. Let's just say people came and told on her. Right? All right. Although she would be protected because you understand the people that they are trafficking the children for are the people running the world. Again, these children make the world go round. So they're protected anyway. No one's going to arrest anyone in that. All right? But we're saying, just for the sake of argument, with the information that I have, what I would do if this was a real life thing and they weren't protected and all that. We just busted them because some people told on them. Okay? This is what I would do. Of course, I would have an opening, remarks where I would say, tell the story, but what the deal is they do this. They go to Disney and they meet people there and they get contacts there or whatever, and they do this in their home and they're dropped off. And I would explain how the Underground Railroad type system works, where kids are left and dropped off and people drive them in whatever direction they're going, and they take kids. They might have to lay over for a week. They might have to lay over just a couple of days, and they're picked up and moved around until they get to their destination. And then I would tell that whole thing to the jury. That's how it works. That's why it works. Okay? And then I would tell a little bit more about that. Kind of generally telling the story, but I don't need to get into all the details specifically, right? These are just opening remarks. They're not evidence. I'm just trying to tell them what I'm about to show them. Okay? All right. Then after that, in some kind of order, I would strategically figure out the best way to do the order of calling witnesses. But then all I can do then is ask questions at that point, right? Evidence comes from the witness stand, from the response, not the questions I ask. Not the attorneys aren't evidence. The response you get from the person on the witness stand, that is evidence. You can believe it or you don't have to believe it, but that's evidence. Okay, so here we go. I would first call someone, probably not first, I don't know that, but someone to get up there that's an expert that knows this shit with all these credentials, the history of Missouri and the Springfields, I'm just saying, if there wasn't where the Luciferians and stuff were all covered and everything, because of course no one's going to get up here and tell this. I mean, maybe we could find someone that would, I suppose. But the history of the child trafficking and how it works and how they use that underground railroad system around all the Springfields and how it works exactly like that. You drop off children, you pick them up, and they go this way, that way, and that they're paid really good. Experts that can tell that. I might try to get two that are something along the lines of that know this and the history of it. Okay? So that this goes on. This is a thing that goes on there. These aren't just two random people that happen to be doing this. This is a thing there. Establish that. And the whole jury's going, okay. And explain the whole process, okay? And that they use people just like these two. They use regular women, men, couples, just families, single people. They use people just like this just to care for the children in their home until they pick them up and they later get to their destination where those things happen to them, okay? So I'd have some explaining just how it works, right? Then I'd probably have a detective on the stand, and we would go over the pictures of the back shed. That looks like a fucking preschool nap time deal. All right? We would do that. Then we would also go over the colors inside the home. Look at how the walls all look, like a daycare or a preschool in there to be inviting to the children. Now that would be speculation, that part, but that's what it looks like. Okay. Also, there's something about that house being so bright pink. That's not because Gypsy just wanted a pink house. The bitch was 15 years old when they got there. They built a narrative around her that she just was like a helpless little sick child the whole time. They built that narrative while she was in prison too, guys, on purpose with those little fucking films, docuseries and shit that they had, the act and all that. She's a sick little child in this fucking wheelchair. And that's how she acted. She acted like a little child all the time because her mom made her. She always acted like a little child. That's how she was. Not true. She was running around like a normal teenage girl, running on drinking, smoking, partying, hanging out with devil worshippers, fucking everyone she get her mitts on since the time she was a teenager. Guys, this is all a big narrative they built while she was in prison so she could get out and get her fame and fortune as she was promised. Okay. And then I would, the back shed, what? And who knows what's going on in those other sheds? I don't even know about that yet. We don't even know that. Probably swept that under the rug altogether. Who knows what's going on in them? And then there's a third bedroom too. All right. So I would know all this if it was a real trial. And who knows what I'd have to put up there. But that shed would be very bad for them. I promise you. Looking like that shed would be very bad evidence for them. Probably some of the worst. So we would do all that. And then I would find out what the deal is with this pink. Because the 3 victims we have are all girls. And that was a pink house. Now, I don't know this. But I wouldn't be surprised if bright fluorescent blue houses this is the house where it's at. And they're all boys. And these are all girls go to the pink. I don't know that. But I wouldn't be surprised. And the reason it's a bright colored house is because when the people that are transferring children all around back and forth and all this need to go find it, they're looking for their dress and stuff, it's the bright pink one. It's the bright pink house. Because, I mean, you don't want to be, wouldn't it be kind of awkward knocking on the door, the van full of children? Is this the right spot? You know what I mean? Yeah, No, the bright fucking pink house. So I would do all this person after person. And then the 3 witnesses would come that were children that were staying in the home. And they're saying the same things. And they're in different years. And they're saying the same thing, how they were treated. The Bible store, The one had a birthday there. Very specific things. They're all saying the same thing. And again, out of the 3, one of them was taken to the house at night and it was raining so bad, she said, that they just put her under raincoats under an umbrella and just ran her in the house. But the other 2 people said that they were moved into the home from the van in a toy box up that ramp. That was more than just for that gypsy's wheelchair. Do you see how this is all coming together? And I would explain all of this to them in closings. after I call all the detectives and all these 3 witnesses, one after the next, describing the same exact behavior, same exact things that Gypsy and them were doing, the same exact food they were ordering, Chinese and pizza, the same exact shit. They'll be able to describe the interior of the house. They'll be able to describe the fucking shed. They'll be able to describe whatever might be, wherever they had them. They'll be able to describe those things. And I would have them one after the other, boom, boom, boom. And then, if it were Dee Dee still alive, then she could take the stand. Oh, no, well, let me forget one of the most important things. I'm sorry. Okay, number 1, 2 different people that didn't know each other years apart that described the same thing, that they were moved in and out of that home in a toy box. That is such difficult evidence for a jury to get over and for a fucking defense attorney to get over. That is the worst evidence in the whole thing, is when you're going to have 2 girls get up there that say, yeah, I stayed there, they were nice to us, and then I was trafficked around, and I got to my final destination. Blah, blah, blah. That part wouldn't be relevant. What would be relevant is that they were there. Okay? And all saying the same thing. And 2 people saying they were taken, that very specific thing, taken in a toy box, in and out, is that in of itself, that is the worst evidence there is against her, actually, in the mind of a jury. That's the worst evidence there is. When you're going to get, I'm going to get 2 girls in a row to say that same fucking thing. Okay? And then, the money. We're going to have financial affidavits up there. We're going to have her payments from whatever she's getting it from. Welfare. We're going to have any money that was coming from Rob, because it wasn't coming from Rod hardly at all. We already know that. All those records would be up there. And then she would need to explain why we recovered, who knows how much. They said 11,000, Gypsy had 5 or whatever. Who knows how many thousands were in that safe. And then this bitch, if she wants to take the stand, she doesn't have to, because I'm going to have a forensic accountant up there that's going to go through all these records. She can remain silent, and I won't say a word about it. But if she dares try to get on the stand, she can try to explain this with her defense attorney, but then I'm going to cross-examine her. And you've seen me in these videos just one-sided how I get. Can you imagine? And then we would go to closing arguments, and I would tie the whole thing together. You saw what girl number 1, whatever her name is, said. You saw what she said. You saw what she said. It's the same. You saw what that detective said. And I would get a conviction in less than 2 hours. So I hope now you better understand why I know with 100% certainty and beyond any reasonable doubt that Gypsy Rose Blanchard and her adult daughter, because every one of the kids, she was an adult already, beyond any shadow of a doubt, were in the business of trafficking children. And they went to Disney to conjure up more business, because if you have your daughter in a certain colored dress on a certain day, it used to be yellow, they got onto that, in Club 33, there's that 33 again, then it means you're safe to talk business to. It doesn't mean your kid in the yellow dress is for sale. It doesn't mean that. It means you're safe to talk business. You want child corn? Got you. You need a place. You need something. You're involved in the child trade. You're a wealthy elite that needs a kid. I know the person to talk to. I got you. Do you understand? I hope we better understand now. And has the jury reached a verdict? I'll see you in the next video.